faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally Talks Books. Today we're interpreting the book Difficult Conversations for You. The subtitle is How to Get Along Pleasantly with Picky People. Well, whether at work or in life, we always run into some picky folks, and it's tough to communicate with them. But dodging communication only makes the problem snowball. So, how can we have effective chats with picky people and build solid relationships? Today's book, Difficult Conversations, shows us that relationship troubles stem from unmet basic needs. If we consider each other's needs in dialogue, even dealing with picky types can be a breeze. The author, Mike Bechter, is a top American trainer and best-selling author. He's got years of experience teaching at universities and in government roles. Plus, he's led over 2,500 workshops and talks for Fortune 500 companies. His hit books, like Talk to Anyone, have been raved about by media and readers. This book is Mike's latest, touted as the advanced version of Talk to Anyone. In this book, Mike dives into basic human needs, unpacks the roots of tough talks, offers problem-solving tips, and ways to foster close bonds. All right. Next up, I'll break down the book's 3 key points for you, focusing on effective communication strategies in relationships. First off, why do difficult conversations even happen? Second, how should we handle those tricky dialogues? Third, how to nip difficult conversations in the bud. Okay, let's start with why difficult conversations exist in the first place. The author reckons that all human relationships are built on 6 basic needs. If folks ignore these needs or clash over them during a chat, they can't get on the same page, and bam, difficult conversations pop up. Those 6 needs are security, adventure, growth, acceptance, connection, and a sense of value. Take security, for instance. It's a core need for everyone. Say you've only got $10 in your pocket. If a home appliance breaks, you'd freak out. That if you had 100 grand, you wouldn't sweat it. The repair bill isn't even there yet. But that sense of security totally steers your mood. For both parties in a conversation, suppose one has low security needs and is eager to try new things, while the other lacks security and prefers stability. Then even a slight change can make them feel threatened, leading to a difficult conversation between both sides. For example, at work, the boss assigns challenging tasks to help employees grow quickly, but the employee worries about getting fired if they make a mistake. So such conversations easily lead to disagreements. If both sides can listen to each other's needs and try to understand the other's perspective, the outcome of the conversation might be different. And that, like, but the employee, if they know the supervisor is committed to helping them grow, even if they make a big mistake, they won't be afraid. Instead, they'll bravely take on responsibilities and work independently. Now, let's talk about the need for acceptance. Everyone has flaws and tries hard to hide them carefully because we all crave to be accepted by others. Suppose the husband isn't good at cooking, but he clumsily prepares dinner anyway. Even though the taste isn't great, it's an action taken to strengthen the relationship. If the wife doesn't accept her husband's flaw of not being good at cooking, conflict might arise. But if we change our approach and see the precious side of the other person, we can accept these shortcomings. The wife could say, I know you're not satisfied with the meal, but the food isn't important. What matters is the time spent with you. Thank you. We can't ignore flaws because they're real and obvious, but we shouldn't define a person by their flaws. Relationships are built on 2 imperfect people treating each other sincerely. When we try to make another person perfect or mold them into our ideal image, we actually damage the relationship's development. Besides security and acceptance, the adventure need refers to the human desire to explore the external world. The growth need is a natural instinct. We always hope to become better. The connection need means the desire to build ties, with the outside world and share one's story with others. Finally, everyone hopes to create value and have a positive impact on society and others. This is the need for a sense of worth. These six basic needs drive every human behavior and also determine their stance in conversations. A person with independent personality, when their basic needs are satisfied, lays the foundation for healthy relationships. But if someone can't take responsibility and always relies on others to meet their needs, relationships become strained. This is the root cause of troubled interpersonal dynamics. Only by bridging the gap in needs and aligning conversations on the same wavelength can communication between people flow smoothly. So, how can we achieve this and sustain difficult conversations? The author proposes three elements and six skills. Healthy relationships depend on three elements: time, willingness, and patience. Many know the safest way to build wealth is early investment, consistent savings, and forming habits. Over time, returns naturally follow. The same principle applies to relationships. Feelings need gradual nurturing, and problems require step by step resolution. Pursuing good relationships demands spending time communicating. Time is the first element in building healthy relationships. If we neglect regular communication with friends, only reaching out during holidays or crises, this expresses insincere friendship. Long-term neglect makes relationships distant. Repairing them requires immense time. Time is a relationship's foundation, but mere time investment isn't enough. Sitting beside someone on a plane for hours doesn't create connection. Relationships require active bonding. The second element is strong willingness. The only way to connect is sincerely understanding others and seeing their world through their eyes. The author once stood with his wife on opposite sides of a statue. From her view, a slender beauty; from his, a giant nose with huge nostrils. When describing what they saw, each thought the other was crazy. Had they insisted on their views, they'd argue all day, ruining their mood. But when both experienced each other's perspective, everything became clear. Human communication works the same. If both sides only think from their own angle, conversations deadlock. In such situations, we need face-to-face communication to understand each other's viewpoints and positions, find common ground, and align the conversation on the same wavelength. After investing time and expressing willingness, the third element for building healthy relationships is patience. Good relationships are always built on a foundation of patience, and the tougher it gets, the more we must persevere. It's like raising a child, requiring repetitive actions such as changing diapers, cleaning, and feeding until one day they can take care of themselves. Similarly, in relationships, we must have the same patience. The trick to maintaining patience lies in being present and learning to control yourself without interfering with the other's reactions. It's like playing chess. We can only control our own moves and respond to the opponent's actions, not run over to their side to play for them, which would provoke conflict. Like many parents, they often interfere in their children's marriages, even arranging meetings without consulting them, which sparks rebellion and hinders communication. Time, willingness, and patience are the three key elements that form stable relationships. By grasping these three key elements, when encountering difficult conversations, we can use 6 techniques to address the other party's basic needs and resolve conflicts promptly. Next, we'll explain the steps for conducting difficult conversations one by one. The first technique is to create a sense of security, allowing the other party to lower their guard and engage openly and honestly. The simplest way is to make the other party feel your sincerity. Take conversation, for example. Most people listen half-heartedly and often use others' words as a springboard to talk about what they themselves want to say. For instance, the other person says, "At work, they never listen to my feelings. It's like they don't see me at all." A common response is, Yeah, I've had that happen to me too, and then going on about their own experience. This kind of response interrupts the other's talk, making them feel disrespected. The right approach is to pause and describe the other's issue. You said you feel ignored. What exactly happened? What did they say or do that made you uncomfortable? This level of attention makes the other person feel valued, creating a good sense of security. The second technique is eliminating fear. Fear is actually a natural human instinct. Our brains tend to overestimate danger's severity while underestimating our own abilities. This is very common. When communicating with leaders, celebrities, or other powerful, charismatic individuals, it's inevitable to feel fearful, even wanting to back out. Just two simple tricks can eliminate this fear. One is writing down negative thoughts. The other is asking yourself what exactly you're afraid of. These tricks help remind us to overcome negative emotions and rationally analyze. Am I scared by their actual words or just my own assumptions? This shifts our focus from how I feel to what's actually true, helping conquer fear. After setting the stage, the third technique is learning to listen, both a communication skill and form of respect that sustains difficult conversations. So, what's the right way to listen? Simply and sincerely shift your focus from yourself to the other person. This doesn't mean abandoning your position, but understanding their perspective from their standpoint. When speaking, summarize their points to show you've truly listened. For example, if I understand correctly, you believe, then add, did I get that right? This confirms we've given proper attention and listened carefully, helping advance difficult conversations. Summarizing their points is actually a form of feedback. The fourth technique is honest feedback. In dialogue, we need others' feedback to see gaps in our own views. Yet most avoid giving feedback to spare our feelings. So we must proactively seek it. To get genuine feedback, carefully phrase your questions. And the more specific the question, the better. For example, if you vaguely ask, what do you think of me? You'll get vague answers like, you're nice, etc. But if someone asked about my greatest strength, what would you say? You might get a detailed answer. Then, if you want to consistently get effective feedback, you also need to respond to the feedback promptly. A phone call or a note can both express gratitude. Thank them for how they've influenced you. This way, they'll realize we value their feedback highly and they'll feel more comfortable giving feedback in the future. During difficult conversations, the fifth technique is to start with goodwill, meaning to make the other person feel our sincerity. In important relationships, being harmonious is the appropriate default setting. Although kindness can't eliminate fundamental conflicts or solve all contradictions, it can show our commitment to the relationship, bridge the gap between us, and make the conversation more harmonious. The sixth technique is to clarify goals and not deviate from the direction. In daily life, our chats often ramble off topic, causing the discussion to stray. Effective conversations need to keep a tight focus on the goal. So, how can we stay firm on the goal? First, clarify the purpose of the conversation. Once you find a common goal, you'll stop arguing and start guiding each other toward achieving the ultimate purpose of the dialogue. Um, for example, a couple wants to beautify their backyard. The husband wants a pool and the wife wants a garden, but there isn't enough space for both. After analyzing their motivations, they realized their common goal was to create a relaxing environment, not necessarily to install a pool or a garden. So, this way, when they get back on track with the goal, the conversation becomes much easier. To make the goal clearer, you can use project management methods like reverse planning. To complete a task, first set the deadline, then break down the tasks. For example, take that couple mentioned earlier. Suppose their goal changes to building the garden by year end. Then, centered on this goal, reverse the schedule. This makes it clear. Start by leveling the land now, build the flower beds next month, plant seedlings the month after, and finish by year end. This way, we can clearly know our current position, understand how far we are from the goal, and what to do next. The highest level of dealing with difficult conversations isn't relying on techniques, but preventing problems before they arise. This is the third key point: how to prevent difficult conversations at their root. Actually, whether a conversation is difficult or not, it all falls within the realm of interpersonal relationships. So, to prevent difficult conversations at their root, we need to start with how we handle daily relationships. Apply three techniques. First, determine relationship priorities. Second, maintain important relationships well. Third, insist on positive communication. First, let's examine technique one: setting relationship priorities. Various relationships can be categorized into three types: responsibility relationships, inherited relationships, and chance encounters. Responsibility relationships mainly include life partners, friends, social organizations, etc. These are actively chosen by us and deserve more attention. The second type is inherited relationships, which are the most numerous among all interpersonal connections. They often come along with our responsibility relationships. For example, when we choose a partner, we also inherit their family and friends. When we pick a job, we have to accept all kinds of colleagues, and so on. As for chance encounters, they're quite broad, including mall staff, restaurant servers, hotline operators, strangers in the community. Our interactions with these people are just fleeting encounters. The author believes that in responsibility relationships, the closer the person, the more they deserve our attention and care, meaning we should invest more in partners or close friends. Next come inherited relationships. Parents and relatives are relationships we can't choose. Lastly are those chance encounter relationships. For relationships with minimal interaction, we shouldn't invest excessive energy. Although difficult conversations can occur in any relationship type, closer relationships have higher probability. Categorizing helps set maintenance priorities, allowing targeted prevention of difficult talks. Interpersonal relationships resemble thermodynamics. To keep a system running, constant external force is needed. Good relationships don't maintain themselves. Even the best relationships stagnate if taken for granted. Thus, careful nurturing is crucial. This is the second technique for preventing difficult conversations. Maintain important relationships well. The longer they last, the more relaxed you become, but prolonged time can lead to numbness or taking each other for granted. To avoid this, try becoming the other's student. Constantly explore and research to maintain ongoing excitement. The author once bought a smartphone and for a long time only used basic functions like browsing the web and texting. But after a while, he found a guidebook and discovered more features of the phone. For example, making calls through apps, installing different system versions, and so on. The more he learned about the phone, the more satisfied he felt, reigniting the excitement of having a new phone. Our lives are also a unique treasure trove. By investing more in existing relationships, we can explore and learn more. Besides maintaining long-term freshness, we also need to pay attention to the small things in interpersonal interactions. For instance, if you're late meeting a friend, ignoring this small matter might turn into a big issue in the relationship. So the other person might feel you don't care about their small matters, and continuous accumulation will affect future communication. So address problems early to prevent them from piling up and turning small matters into big ones. The third technique is to insist on face-to-face communication. Nowadays, with the use of phones and computers, many people are used to texting or emailing for conversations, reducing opportunities for face-to-face interaction. Think about it. You can probably recall several people. They communicate frequently through social media, but have never actually met. These high-tech communication methods, while faster, lose a lot of information present in face-to-face interaction. Research shows that only 7% of communication information is conveyed through words, 38% through tone of voice, and 55% through body language. In face to face communication, we fully utilize all three elements, whereas phone conversations cause us to lose body language. So, when we only use email or text to communicate, we lose 93% of effective communication tools. For example, when we ask about progress on messaging apps, the other party often replies with, "Good, fine," or "couldn't be better." But if we look into their eyes, we might notice something off. Perhaps their gaze is evasive, or there's a hint of bitterness in their smile. These details are fleeting. If we communicate through modern tools, it's hard to catch these subtle clues. But therefore, in interpersonal interactions, try to use face to face communication, minimize using communication tools, and don't rely solely on text for effective communication. Frank communication should only be a last resort under constrained conditions. Overall, when conversations get tough, first understand the other's inner needs. Learn to empathize and remember the three elements of healthy relationships: time, willingness, and patience. In conversations, apply appropriate skills, including creating safety, eliminating fear, learning to listen, seeking feedback, and starting with goodwill to make the other feel our care and sincerity. Most importantly, always keep the conversation goal in focus so you can calmly handle difficult conversations, turning communication into a catalyst for healthy relationships. All right, that's all for interpreting the book Difficult Conversations for you. The reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.